Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order on Monday, August 1st, 2022. Can you join me for the pledge? Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up is the warrants. Brendan, you have payroll with infrastructure? Yeah.
Okay. Two payroll warrants, July 22nd, 2022, in the amount of $26,063.03, and then July 29th, 2022, in the amount of $47,034.72. There's some agency checks and whatnot in that one. Make a motion we approve both.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And we've got a 4 of our invoices here for the town hall under the infrastructure development fund. So they total out all 4 invoices combined, with DEW being about 94% of it, at $50,834.82. So that's the infrastructure development warrant dated August 1st, 2022. $50,834.82. Make a motion we approve that.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's it on that. I have the general fund warrants dated August 1st, 2022. In the amount of $177,113.57. A lot of, items in the $1,000. We had some stuff in there from the Bay Park event. Connor Contracting had some money in there for repair of the salt shed. But is that gonna be reimbursed? Right?
It already has been, they
It has
paid it,
been, okay, perfect.
minus the deductible.
Yep, perfect. So, if anybody wants to make a motion to approve that warrant,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're on to minutes. You have the minutes in front of you of July 8th, 2022, July 18th, 2022. Anybody make a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Jeff and Brendan,
Sure.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're on the public comment. We have a full house tonight. Carrie, do you want to just give the spiel on public comment rules real quick?
Yeah, so the select board has rules of procedure. As part of those rules of procedure, the board tonight can pick whether or not you'd like to have the time to comments either be 2, 3, 4 minutes each. We're gonna hold everyone to that strict time frame, just so we can get everyone their time to speak in front of the board. And we have specific rules for this reason, just to let everyone have their time. If it's appropriate to be talking about that topic before the board, then they'll be given that time. Anything else you want to cover? So this board can, according to our rules, decide tonight what length of each public comment you would like.
Okay. Is everybody good with 3 minutes?
I think 3 minutes makes sense. It's fine.
Okay.
Does
Perfect.
someone on the board want to be the timekeeper, or do you want me to be the timekeeper?
If you could, Carrie, go for it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I am gonna ask everyone to come up, state their name, sit at the table, and the town they're from for the minutes. That'd be great.
Okay, perfect. I don't think, I'll have to comment, but we'll get back to them. Anybody in the public, wanna come up for public comment?
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Jeff.
Aye.
Why I'm here tonight, and I'm gonna read this letter. There's 4 of us in this car club that have something to do with the Bay Car Show. So we're here tonight to discuss the issue that's been bothering us. There's two other guys here with me from the choir club. The other one could not make it. So we're here tonight to discuss the issue that's been bothering us for over a month. The issue stems from the Bay Car Show held on June 4th, 2022 at the Bay Park. Our club has been working at and helping to organize the show for the last 4 years. We decided to take this on because we're passionate about cars and love attending shows. Each year we tried to make the show bigger, better, and each year we have succeeded at that. Our volunteers include the 4 of us, our families, and our friends, which usually average 20 to 25 people. So we begin work usually in October for this show, up to the day it happens. We do every detail from including planning, picking up donations for raffles, distributing flyers, posters, going around the state to do this. And this year was even taking time to go down to get trophies and look at trophies. So the day before, we always set up for the show. That day, there was 4 of us. Park manager wasn't available. We didn't see him that day. And so we set up. On that day, we noticed before we left, all the trash cans were overflowing and the dog poop bags were overflowed and piles of dog poop bags beside the canisters. So we went and we picked those all up and threw them in the dumpster. So on the day of the event, volunteers show up between 6 and 7 a.m. Their duties is to park cars, check the cars in, collect the money, make sure everything goes. We have volunteers to register the people. There's a bunch of different parts of the event that goes on. This year, after the event, we were informed about a week later that there was money missing from what we had given the park manager. The money was counted in front of the park manager.
So what that means, Jeff, is you're out of time and you need to stop. And if that is a complaint that you have about something going on in the town, direct it to me, which is.
Well, you know about this, and nothing's been done, so. Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
Would you like to leave that letter?
No, not actually. So,
Okay, next. Come on up, John.
No, we're not gonna have any comments about it, I'm sorry. We can talk about it at another time, for sure.
Okay.
The opinions,
Is it,
Melissa Montaigne, St. Albans. I guess.
Melissa, can I just wanna stop you right there.
I'm not gonna be
Just-
confrontational. I just
No,
wanna
no, no,
say
no, no, no,
something.
I'm not saying you are, but if it has anything to do with personnel or anything.
Yep.
Like,
Nope, I'm gonna state something about myself.
okay, cause it
Yep.
just keep it,
On the car show, I was there. I volunteered with my husband. My husband was there. I have photos that I would be happy to give any of you. All my kids came. We were all there at the car show. Probably Facebook posts were made. So, you're all welcome to go on our Facebook and check it out. I usually volunteer at any of my husband's events. So, I'm there. There's usually photos because we're usually trying to promote the events. So, we do it on our personal page as well as the pages that he runs. So, I just wanted to state that. Must be I missed you.
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Hearing none. Al, do you have a public comment?
Al, can you hear us? Do you have a public comment?
No, I do not, thank you.
Okay.
If you could mute, that would be helpful.
I said, no, I do not, thank you.
No, that's great, thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, are you fielding any questions tonight?
Uh,
Or just comment?
just comments.
I can make a comment. It's not a
Come on up.
You know,
And if
before
you, I'm sorry, if you could just, no, you
I'm
don't.
I'm Morris Green, I live in the town,
Thank you.
and I find it hard to believe that no test drilling was done at the present site of the new town building before they purchased the property. And I cannot understand why that property was purchased instead of the property on Kellogg Road, where there's plenty of room for both facilities to be at the same location. That's my comment.
You mean Brigham Road?
Brigham Road, yes. It's a form of a comment and a question.
Okay, I'll give you some brief explanation on why it was chose, because I think the select board at the time put it on the ballot, whether or not it should stay in the bay. And it passed, 3-2,
Like 1,100 to 400.
or even more than that then. So
It's
it
pretty
passed unanimously to stay in the Bay Area, so then we did what area in the Bay could it go in, who had the property, or, you know, there was a couple different options, and ended up Jackie's worked out. And for your second question of whether or not we tested that site, we did the level 2 testing of that site,
We did.
not necessarily for water amount or water,
Usable water.
usable water chemistry per se. I'm like, I don't know if anybody drills a well or tests for well water before they buy a piece of property anyway, but that's here nor there. So that's where we are with that. We did do a full, like, because usually it's brought up to our attention, like, well, there's oil storage there and stuff like that. And that's been brought up to us multiple times. So that's why we decided to go at least with level 2 testing to decide there was nothing in the ground as far as those contaminants.
And this area is very close to a location where they stored salt for many years. And that seeps into the groundwater. Anyways, and I thought somebody would say, hey, this might be a good idea to test it before we buy this property and build it.
So I'm just gonna give you one quick was it the engineering firm that we hired for the project?
It was an engineering firm that specializes in water and wastewater quality, that gave us the, information that it wasn't the surface contamination, but it was likely that we hit the Champlain Sea
Champlain seabed.
at 620 feet.
620 feet.
Okay, I know you're not entertaining questions, but I just wonder what the solution would be on this. Thank you.
The solution to water, is that what you're asking? You can share.
Well, you can share.
Okay.
You know better than, but there is an answer to that.
There is an
Yeah, there is.
answer. We have about 7 different options. A couple of them included a reverse osmosis system, but the most cost and economical solution was sharing a neighbor's well. And we're in negotiations to do that right now, to just share a neighbor's well. We've had the water tested and the yield test certified by a well driller, so that's our current working option.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for their answers.
Thanks for going.
Thank you for your questions.
Does anybody else want to make a public comment? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna move on. Impact waiver fee request for Ace Properties. That's
Yes, and
LaCrosse.
Jeremiah is here.
Yep.
I'd love if you could come up and sit here, and if you have people with you, they can sit next to you. Speakers and the camera work better that way.
I guess we're gonna cut off. That's fine. Last I knew I didn't have COVID, so. No, that's good, that's all right. We'll get that out of the way.
Good start.
So, I mean,
So-
go ahead.
So you're looking for waiver of impact fees. We worked with zoning on it already, so if you just want to give you a brief what you're doing up there,
Sure.
what you're turning into, what you're not turning into.
Yeah, so we are taking the Holiday House, which was previously used as a assisted living facility.
Colleen stopped that use last May, and we are converting it into 23 affordable housing units. We've already got the go-ahead from the DRB. We actually just got our state permits on Friday, so we're excited to move forward. We're looking to start renovations in September, mid to late September. And, you know, it's much needed, obviously, you know, the affordable housing, and so that's why we're trying to keep our costs as manageable as possible, as low as possible, so that we can create the affordable housing. We weren't necessarily aware of the impact fee at first, and then, you know, we were told about it, so that's why we're here tonight. We're hoping that we can get that waived for what we're doing.
So, does anybody on the board have any questions for Jeremiah?
So how many units you say it was?
23.
23, so
Yep.
are these gonna be for like elderly or
It's gonna be-
families, or what's the?
It's gonna be a mix. There's probably not gonna be a lot of larger families, just because out of the 23, so we got 12 studios, 9 one-bedroom and 2 two-bedroom. So it's gonna be a variety. It's not a 55 and older. Basically, we're gonna have, you know, the income range anywhere from 30 to 80% of the median income. So again, we're trying to keep these affordable.
So you don't really have a number on kids that will impact the school?
Correct.
I believe there's only two bedrooms in the plans.
2 two-bedroom.
The rest are one bedrooms and
Yeah.
studios, so
Yeah.
probably not a ton of kids.
Actually, on a recent change you might not be aware of, we don't collect education impact fees right now.
Oh.
Our impact fees are strictly highway, you know, the parks, the
Fire.
library,
When we
fire.
updated our last ordinance, the consultants couldn't prove enough growth to allow for impact fees for the school.
See, that's the trouble with being a new guy.
No, it's all right. I realized I should have put that in there as you were asking questions, so, this is, did Megan explain to you what impact fees are, why
She-
they're collected?
Yeah, she did, and she was very clear with us in terms of next steps and very helpful with us. You know, I would like to let you know too, I mean, so I don't know how familiar you are with our properties, but we have properties on Lake Street that we've cleaned up. We actively manage our properties. And we take a lot of pride in our buildings, but, so we have received a letter from the chief, the sheriff, just saying, you know, normally a development like this, a project like this would be a little concerning if it's somebody coming in from out of state, out of town, you know, who's not really gonna manage it. So saying that with us managing it, sees no changes, no impacts. Same with fire, rescue. So, I mean, that's why we're here.
And Megan did confirm that earlier today.
The last time we waived impact fees was
A week ago,
a week ago.
we're supposed to, every year, we're supposed to raise them. We did have
No,
a.
waived.
No.
Oh, she said
Oh,
wait.
wait, I said
Oh,
raised.
I've heard of us waiving it on like seniors development.
It's been a while, I don't
Been a
recall.
while. Well, I mean, you're on a state road, right? 105 is a state road, so you're
Yeah.
dealing with it. It's a V-Trans impact to any traffic, and he says V-Trans says that it's actually going to decrease traffic on that road.
Correct.
You're coming from Route 7, which is also a state road, and headed up to 104, which is a state road. So I don't know that we have any concern related to public works. So, in my mind, that portion of the impact fee can definitely be waived. The rest of it, I mean, we don't collect any school impact fees, so that's not a conversation. The fire department and the fire department and the sheriff's office both say that it's not any additional impact. I mean, it's not a secret how I feel about impact fees. Guess, go ahead.
I was just glad you're doing it, first of all.
Yeah.
I drive by all the time. It's been, a while ago it was empty, and
Yeah.
my wife had actually mentioned it'd be a great spot for apartments, you know, and then we heard about this shortly after. Now, just question the letter from Megan Sherland to Mr. LaCrosse, paragraphs 2 and 3, referencing just almost like a study, something where it just shows, because I mean, there's probably some impact, right, to changing it. It might even be de minimis, it might be just a little. Besides, I mean, I'm looking at the letter you had, and it just has, and there's, this might exist, I just don't have it in my packet, but the sheriff's department anticipates there'll be no change to their operations. I didn't know if we had a letter from the sheriff or
The
Got
town
that.
fire.
Yeah.
We do have a
True.
letter from them and the fire department.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to have that so I could feel like, oh, I've got some evidence, not just, I love the project, it sounds great, let's waive $51,000 in fees that could otherwise go to the town in some other ways. That's all. Just want to make sure I feel it's the right thing to do. And the third paragraph references having it, and this isn't my profession here, but having it in, and then the developer must protect and provide in perpetuity deed restriction covenants and other legal mechanisms that all affordable housing units shall not exceed the eligibility criteria, and other language. Is that something that's happened already, or is that something that needs to happen?
So part of our application with the town, in order for us to get the density bonus, I mean, this has to be affordable housing. Otherwise, based on the lot size, we could have only done, I think, 15 or 16 units. So as part of that it has to remain affordable housing.
Okay.
That was a condition of the change of use.
Okay.
But that, if
So-
our regulations were to ever change in the future to allow for that, you could come back for a permanent amendment. I think what this is saying is that it wants something that'll stand the test of time, even if
Yeah.
our regulations change.
So my understanding, and could be wrong, but the deed restriction wouldn't apply with this being affordable housing based on the need for it in the area.
And who's
So-
to say VHFA might not exist in 30 years. It could be a totally different regulatory agency too. So,
You mean Vermont State Housing Authority?
well, the Vermont Housing Finance Agency is what establishes the criteria for eligibility on affordable housing.
Gotcha.
So that might not exist, and there could be a bill in next biennium to abolish it and replace it with something else with even more red tape. So, I say if we make a motion to waive something, it should be contingent. Like if they're ever changed to not affordable housing units, the impact fee either now or at the time, whichever is higher, should be paid to the town at that point. Maybe that'd be part of the deal. I don't know. Just throwing that out.
Well, wouldn't they have to go through the application process all over again with the DRB anyway? Brendan, if they were gonna do a change of use, right, just say they wanted to change it to a restaurant or whatever, they'd still
Well,
have to go.
even if you just wanted to say, okay, these aren't affordable anymore because the town zoning regulations have changed
Yeah.
to allow for more density in this
Yep.
district. I could see
Yeah.
our growth center someday expanding beyond what it is on the south end to include that property,
Gotcha.
that 105 corridor up to
Yep.
the 104, 105 intersection. I don't know if you wanna, if we waive all or part of this, if we wanna say that, the amount that we waive is due back if that use is ever changed to be market rate. I don't know.
So, I mean, the argument is, I guess your argument is, it's already there. It's been served right along, it's kind of pre-existing, is that where we're going, or?
I think that's what he's saying.
Well, our thing was, essentially it was residential, right? It was
But
residential for folks who needed assistance.
You had employees there, 3 shifts around the clock.
And had
too.
employees, and they were licensed for 42 beds, and we're gonna have 23 units, so we're actually, it's gonna be less.
And give me a breakdown on the unit count again, studio.
12 studios, 9 one-bedrooms, 2 two-bedrooms.
So you're talking
Very small.
60% of those beds.
I mean, the
Yeah.
zoning administrator said this was a change of use. An assisted living facility is not the same thing
No,
as an
no.
apartment.
Correct,
If
we
anything,
still
I
had,
would-
we still had to get a permit, we still had to go and do the DRB, yep.
And I think in the town fire, I'm Amy Burleson, I'm one of Jeremiah's business partners. In the town fire, they actually anticipated reduced use because of the ambulance visits when it was an assisted living facility, so we do anticipate that to go down.
The fire department is separate though for us than the ambulance.
Well, I mean, I could see.
Well, I think that the board has to be very careful about issuing the variance and be very clear about the grounds that they're,
Yeah, that's.
or
Well, that's what I'm trying to
waiver,
establish
because
here.
everybody in there
That's the
Brother's
only
gonna
thing,
wanna
that's the
waiver.
only reason I haven't already made the motion.
Hmm.
Is trying to think through what could come up next. And I think you're right, we have to say this is why we decided in this case to do what we did. And I think there should be, if the use is ever changed from affordable to market rate, this should come back into play.
I'd love to see, I mean, with was it six criteria on here, right? Public administration, general government. The second one's public works. Another one's recreation. That one might be a little different than the others. Fire, library, transportation. I'd love to see something where, like you're pointing out, right, the fire, ambulance, EMT. For each one of these six, we would anticipate this to decline, stay the same. If it stays the same, I mean,
I see that.
not a new impact, right? I mean, I would suspect recreation would be, I suspect it would be higher than what it has been, recreation department, which we pay to be part of the city's program. And I just love to have that, have whatever we need to do. I just
What
want to
if-
make sure we do it right, because
What if you did,
theoretically, I mean, so we're sitting here for the rest of the townspeople. If we waived all $51,000, theoretically, that's $51,000 that people who already live here may have to pay, right? Theoretically. So if we had a way just to make sure that we're not increasing
what if
the
you waived,
impacts on those things.
what if you waived everything but recreation and library? Which would total out to
That's kind of what I would,
$600.
that's what I would, well, then it's.
It's $600 a unit.
Per unit or whatever,
Right.
yeah, and make a reasonable argument, that's all.
But I see your guys' point to an extent, but we put these impact fees in here for a reason. Like, I know that that's all state road,
And it's existing.
but, and it's existing, but the daycare, when they went through the change, cause it went to apartments back to daycare, they paid it. You know, so if
No,
you,
we don't have impact fees on commercial.
not on there,
No impact fees on commercial in town residential only.
so that's not commercial then.
It's going from commercial to residential, and that's why this is in play.
Also,
If you took a house and turned it into a daycare, no impact fee. If you took a daycare and turned it into a house, then you have an impact fee.
Why is,
Yeah, we don't charge any commercial, because we want commercial growth, that's what keeps
Right,
your
right,
taxes
right.
down. So. I mean, I could see how people that live there already, cause you gotta remember, this place had residents already, up until May of last year, people lived there. 41 beds, and they were all full at one point. So those people probably did use the library, I don't know how much they did recreation, I had, usually when you get to that point in your life where you're at a facility like the Holiday House, there's not much recreating you can do, but. So I could see where someone at the Holiday House may have had a family member checking out library books, or may have taken day trips to the library, so I could even see waiving that one. Recreation is the only one of the six that I'm debating.
What about public administration and general government? I mean, that's
Right.
in there, it's
Yeah.
kind of a per bed, per person thing.
I think we have less people there now than what we would have had before.
Still, I mean, there's a cost there.
Well, that's theoretical.
Sure, you never know if someone's gonna rent a one-bedroom unit from these guys and have 6 people living in it, but also, like,
That's where our management comes in.
Right, I think it's actually,
Yeah, so we're gonna be.
you have it in your lease, the
We're gonna,
occupancy
we're gonna
limits.
be on site
right.
at least once a week. We have an office that we're gonna have in there, so it's gonna be closely managed.
This is a rare case in itself.
And I think in terms of research, back to your point too, Brian, it's a good one with research. I think, when I think about it, the money is being spent for resources for these folks who need assistance, regardless of if they're living in a holiday house or, if they're living in a homeless shelter. I mean, the care, the support needs to be there either way.
So is that level of management written into your DRB decision?
It is, absolutely. They had a lot of questions actually about our management and how we're very hands-on with our properties. I mean, you could talk to our tenants, talk to, the sheriff in terms of the changes he sees with our buildings. We maintain them, we make them look nice, we have a thorough screening process for tenants.
Roger, is all that true? Not to call you out. That's true? Okay, for the record, Sheriff said yes.
Don't be shy, Roger, come on in.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see another example that wouldn't warrant the same thing, similarly, to this situation. You're taking an existing thing that had a residential component to it and just shifting the use to a different segment of the population. So it can service people of all ages, really.
What's the transportation?
I would think it'd be public buses and such is my
Is that part of that?
take on it.
Yeah, but that's $281 of the 2,449. It was really meant for roads, bridges, culverts,
State
that
road
kind of
there.
thing.
And you just look at the
Is
specifics.
that different than
Right.
public works?
It's state road.
Yeah,
but
public
I mean,
works,
I don't think it
that's
matters.
garage, our buildings and our
These
trucks.
people that are in town and going around.
In the ordinance, it actually.
And I think a lot of them will probably end up in the city's downtown and in our South End Growth Center, which is also a state road. I mean, I just, there's a housing crisis in this state, and I'm an outspoken opponent of impact fees just because they raise the barrier in which more people can build more housing. And you see people paying $1,600 a month for something that you could have rented in 2009 or 2010 for $750. And it just makes your stomach sick. And I see it in my segment, my age bracket, where people are coming home from college and they've got a $1,600 a month student loan payment and they can't even worry about rent, so they're moving in with their parents. Interest rates are choking people out of the housing market, and affordable housing is, they're not the sexiest projects in the world, but they're needed. And when you've got people here that are willing to manage it like an affordable housing project needs to be managed, I think you need to do what you can as a municipality to help them provide those units.
If we were creating a market rate complex, we wouldn't be sitting here right now asking for an exception. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, it's affordable housing. To create affordable housing, it's gotta be affordable for us to build. I mean,
Are you going after any grants through?
we are, the applications are due the end of this month, they're this week. So we are good, we haven't received any yeses or nos, and Champlain Housing Trust is administering those funds, so we'll find out hopefully next week.
Well, I guess
That's what I think.
I
I was
would not
thinking-
be in favor of completely waiving
Half?
Well, which segments do you want to keep? I would say you gotta pick out of the six, which one?
I think if we look at the six,
Recreation,
we can make it make
library.
sense.
Possible transportation.
So say that again, you wanna keep those?
That they would pay.
Yeah, library,
Yeah, and for transportation. Cause they're gonna use all roads in the town at some point, right?
right.
Well, why wouldn't they get public works too?
I don't see it. I would
Well, it's split up for everybody that lives in the town, not just, I don't ever travel on a state road, so does that mean that I
saw you on,
yeah.
don't tell anybody? You know what I mean? So does that mean I pay a higher rent? I think
What
it's just
you-
broad.
I don't know that you gotta remember, they're taking a property that had people coming to and from it at a higher rate.
Wasn't
Then what
really,
they'll be
wasn't
right
it
now.
like a what's the neighboring place to it? Verdell Village?
Yeah, it used to be
Isn't
Verdell.
it kind of like that, like
Same.
assisted living where they're not
Same
like,
thing.
they don't have vehicles or they're in
Well,
and
she
out?
had
employees.
She had employees.
Well,
Well, the
Employees
employees
are
do,
same
right,
thing,
right,
staff.
right.
She had
Family
three
members.
shifts of employees in and out every day.
V-Trans did a decision for the DRB decision that said that the number of trips per day would be reduced based on the use. They have a chart that says the use, so based on residential switch to 23 units, it will be a reduced number of vehicles.
I'll make a motion that we waive everything but recreation and library.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
on one transportation, we got a deal.
I can't see transportation though. You got something from AOT saying the trip count's going down.
And
Yeah,
we're
but
getting
you don't know,
affordable housing,
like-
which is,
AOT's the one that,
Yeah, I know that. I just,
how much is the transportation? Not that that matters to my thought.
Transportation is $281 of the $24.50.
And the other two,
217.
272.
Oh, it might be a little bit more.
So what would the total be with those three?
Well, with the two that Brian and I are proposing, it'd be just over $600.
What would it be with those three?
With transportation in there. So they're like 300.
So not fire either?
No, they said the fire department
Less
would go
impact.
less.
So you know where
You're
to
gonna
go. So you know where to go to get information for fire calls. Just look through them. There's one spot that always goes off, like, and that's kind of like residential housing. Like it's constantly going, whether or not there's an issue with the system or it's just the.
But do we have to buy any more trucks to service this property? Do we have to buy any more equipment?
I don't know the answer to that.
You might create more
What did
staff
what did the
time.
fire
Well, I
department
have
say when
one-
they
1.5
gave you your letter
guys.
for the DRB?
It's with the town.
What did
They,
Chief
they
Cross say?
don't anticipate,
Chief Cross said that, as long as the applicants are willing to get on-site and do an on-site visit and confirm what the state needs done, and as long as they are willing to, adhere to the state's decision, that he didn't think there'd be additional impact.
So it's just servicing the existing.
Continuing what's
But they need to go through and, do some work on the sprinkler systems, right?
But
things
you have
like
to do that for DFS anyway, right?
yeah,
Not
we're
doing
doing
it.
a whole new, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
we're doing a brand new
And
alarm
a fire
system.
alarm system.
So the total of library, rec, and transportation is roughly I rounded up 906, so it'd be 20,838.
I'm just curious, why would we leave transportation on there if it's gonna be less of an impact? Just
That's
to put it
where
on
my
there?
head's at. That's kind of where I'm at. I would leave it at library and recreation.
And I say recreation's a definite.
To be honest,
Library is probably would be an increase
I bet you
compared to all the
that, I
rest.
bet you the use of, and I don't know this, I wouldn't know to save my life, but if I had to take a blind bet, I bet the impact on the library will go down. I bet you more people at Holiday House use the library services.
So when they're calculating, let's
I
say
don't
the need for fire equipment, I don't know this, I'm asking, but would they assess a 23 unit residential unit with families living in it differently than they would one commercial assisted living facility? And will the addition of 23 more housing units in the town contribute to a trigger that would require additional fire equipment? Then it has an impact.
I would think Chief Cross would have made those comments to the,
I didn't read him, but
Through
that's
that
what I'm
process.
asking.
You got a guy up there with his hand up, in the back.
Are you allowed to talk on this?
Well, hold on, Mitch. Let us just keep kicking this around for a little bit longer.
he's got a good,
And
he's
then-
got a lot of experience.
Yeah, I know, and then we'll get to you. But just give me one more second, so
So
we
that-
can just get the rest of our thoughts.
That's what I would wonder about.
If the fire chief had a concern, he raises those at the zoning, and he didn't at this point.
Like when
So-
when Hawks Nest went in,
Correct.
I can remember being a
Yep.
kid at the kitchen table, probably in 6th grade or whatever grade I was in, listening to my grandparents talk about how the town has to buy a ladder truck because of that bill, you know.
Right.
I
That
can
was an
remember
issue.
all that.
They take the letters seriously when they get them, both police and fire. you know,
And I might be
seriously.
misremembering that, it could have been a different building, but
No,
that's.
it was that building, I remember.
And that, did that building pay impact fees at all?
I don't remember, but I'm new here.
And then they had to use the ladder truck, right? I don't remember, I think that's a totally,
Okay.
we got the motion on the floor, do you wanna let
We still
Mitch-
got a motion on the floor, but you won't, Mitch, you wanna come up and talk, or you're
Yeah,
in much of a spot?
How many units is on the building?
23.
And there was how many?
She was licensed for 42 beds,
So it's probably gonna be more people now.
less people.
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be more, if you put more than one person in that unit.
Well, so there, like I said, 12 of them are gonna be studios.
Yeah,
9 of them are
chances
gonna
are, I think there's gonna be more.
Right.
You know, I'm all for affordable housing. I don't like impact fees. But as long as you have impact fees, if you start setting this precedent, and I think it is a precedent, why can't I build a house and have somebody that doesn't have a lot of money? I mean, you're talking about conversion, I understand, okay. But anyway, when you, as much as you reduce it, there's another almost 4 people per person. You're gonna have to raise that with taxes. You know, and if you keep doing that,
Well, that's
if you
only-
keep doing it, I
Like
mean,
we said,
maybe you can
yeah.
reduce it some, but I wouldn't reduce it that much, because you're setting a precedent here, and somebody's gonna pick up that extra.
Well, so the tax burden only,
Thank you.
taxes only get increased and the burden on the actual taxpayer only goes up if there's increased costs. So we're sitting here going, what are the costs that could increase, and we're landing on, rec and potentially library and potentially transportation, even though that's not in the motion on the floor. Like the rest of them, I can't see where, after this gets through the permitting process, I don't see how it creates any more administration issues. And we've got the experts in charge of the fire department and sheriff's office telling us that it's a similar level of burden as the project that was there before. I don't wanna keep kicking the dead horse, but also like
So your motion has
library and rec.
library.
Library and rec.
And what are those fees?
Library is $288.73 a unit, and rec is $236.40.
Let's go over $500.
Six.
It says a tick over 500.
Six.
So we're a little over
Yep.
10,000 at that point, the impact fee.
Yeah, so it's a 80% reduction.
Yep.
And it's based on what we think could actually be an increased use. If you throw in transportation, I don't know what they'll be doing to increase, because transportation is separate from public works.
Right.
What are they doing to increase usage on public transportation?
Well, we don't know if there's gonna be future bus runs there, sidewalks,
So do you wanna,
it's all been
I was
talked
gonna ask you
about.
guys one more question, it's related but different. Is the property value gonna change, do you foresee? Will it remain exactly the same?
It's hard, we're waiting on our appraisal, we close on the property in September, it's really hard to know. I don't know the assisted living market, to be very honest with you, and I'm hoping the commercial appraisal can kind of give us a better sense as to that. I just don't know how to value an assisted living facility.
Right.
well, one in the shape that it was in is the thing. It's not like it's a state of the art, ready to roll.
Correct.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I would have to at that point. I mean, I don't know either, so,
Yeah,
but,
just curious.
I would guess it's gonna go up significantly.
yeah, so it's more taxes coming into,
Which was my point.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor.
Are we done discussing that?
No, we haven't. No,
We have a
so
second.
we have a motion on the floor and there, Brian seconded, for library and recreation.
So on transportation, who would be the expert to go to? GMTA? Like if somebody wanted something like codified that,
Yeah, but nothing's set in stone. I mean, anything could change. Like, I don't know if you can really, like, they can give you a generalization, but I don't know if it's.
well, what are you gonna go off of other than that?
I-
Impact fees
I
are
guess,
based on
but ultimately it's up to
generalizations.
us to decide whether or not, you know.
So
I
I
guess
have,
we got.
I have a question for the board.
On something.
Yeah.
Say these folks here build this, build it out, do a beautiful job, and part of the discussion is about how they manage it. Somebody comes in, wants to buy it. Pay him more than it's worth. Somebody else manages it. Then what? I mean, so one of the conditions that we're talking about is you folks manage your properties very well. The next owner may not. I don't even know if that should be because that's a temporal thing.
And we've
I'm
had that
assuming you guys are
issue.
building this to make money in whatever fashion, which is great. I mean, I'm all for that. I'm just wondering what the impact on the community is if it changes hands.
It's happened before. We've had larger housing projects in the town not be run well.
I know.
Well, I think we deal with one weekly, don't we?
Wow, yeah, we've got one that's probably, I'm not gonna.
But anyways.
I took a
yes.
ride along with the SAPD street crimes unit and we went over town with the officer I was with, the corporal, and he said that he took me to one housing project in the community, in the town. And at the time, maybe 3.5, 4 years ago, he said that it was managed so poorly that they could definitely say it was a drug capital of St. Albans, including the city. So that kind of stuff can happen if it's not managed well. But that same property, after some, you know, public safety with Bob Cross and some zoning with Becky Perrin and some forcefulness, has been kind of turned around a little bit. I don't know if it's in just as bad a shape,
So
but your
all
point's
that's-
taken well.
All that's to say, things change.
That's it. I'm saying like that can't happen. Like it could be the most beautiful place to live in town. You could sell it, and a year later it could be awful. So
I guess for what it's worth, I mean, we're members of the community too. I mean, nobody wants to see it turn into a dump any less than we do. I mean, we're not coming in from out of state trying to make a
No,
buck
I
here,
know
so
that. I'm just,
I'm a member of Champlain Country Club. I spend more time in St. Albans than I do in my own town for the most part, and with the restaurants and stuff. The last thing I want to see, I love the direction St. Albans is going. The last thing I want to see, any of us want to see, is the building turned over into somebody's hands who's going to manage it poorly. It's not. I mean, I know you're taking it, as our word, but it's not going to happen.
I mean, even with that on the table, I'd still vote in favor of the motion Brian and I have on the floor.
okay.
You can't control everything all the time. You just handle what's right in front of you.
And I can't remember if you answered the question or not, but the part about paragraph 3, where it does have the, covenants and such, are those taken care of or not?
Which covenants, Brian?
So
Developer must protect and provide in perpetuity deed restriction covenants and other accepted legal mechanism that all affordable housing units shall not exceed the eligibility criteria established by the HFA for affordability of housing in Franklin County. And number 2, the developer shall provide a written guarantee that any and all new development granted a discount of the impact fee shall be publicly offered for sale or rent in such that it meets all eligibility criteria. I don't know if that was part of the DMV, or DRB, sorry, aspect. Okay. I mean, I think it just backs up what everyone else is saying, like, this is what it looks like right now, okay, what if things change,
well, that's kind of where I was at the
if
beginning.
we have these things, again, I'm not an attorney, but I would assume these two things that are in here would help just make sure that doesn't change.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that was the condition for our permit from the DRB, is that it has to be affordable housing. Otherwise, if we were to buy that and only be allowed to do 16 units,
Yep.
we wouldn't be here because we wouldn't be under contract. We wouldn't buy it. So for us, I mean, that's why we were able to achieve the number of units, just the affordable housing road. We know there's a need for it. And so, I mean, it is sort of, to answer your question, I mean, it is contractual at that point, right? Because that was a condition of our permit, of the approval. It has to be affordable housing. Otherwise, it would become non-conforming at that point.
So, but again, the regulations could change. We could say 20
Right,
years
the
from
world,
now,
right, the sky could fall, yeah.
that density even at affordable or not affordable units. Maybe we could increase density to all properties served by municipal water and sewer, which it is.
I mean, with all due respect, I mean, we could go down a lot of different rabbit
So
holes.
I would amend my motion to say that it's contingent on the developer, which is Ace Properties LLC, providing, satisfying this condition that Brian's talking about, and I'll read it again. The developer must protect and provide in perpetuity through deed restriction, covenants, and or other accepted legal mechanism that all affordable housing units shall not exceed the eligibility criteria established by VHFA for affordable housing units in Franklin County. And 2, the developer shall provide written guarantee that any and all new development granted a discount of the impact fees shall be publicly offered for sale or rent, and such that it meets all eligibility criteria. So I would say that if you can do those 2 things, offer them to the public, which you will anyway, and then figure out a way that I would say the office of the town manager, after consulting our town attorney, deems to be the other accepted legal mechanism, you know, cause that's up for interpretation and or other accepted legal mechanism. You know, if your attorney dreams something up and our attorney says it's fine, I'd be fine with that. I don't think the board would need to review that again. But I would make my motion to waive all but recreation library contingent on
I
you
think we
meeting
need
those
to
two.
vote down the existing one, right, first, and we're making new ones now, that was.
No, I'm making a motion to amend my motion. I would need a new second,
Gotcha.
I think. Cause I'm essentially pulling it before it got voted. I think it's how it is.
Okay.
I could be wrong, it's been a while. So somebody else would have to second that before it would be.
Anybody wanna second that?
My concern, I'm
Yeah,
not,
go ahead.
my concern is that the idea of the impact fee is to cover unforeseen impacts.
Well, it's gotta be foreseen though, cause the whole impact fee ordinance is based off of what we foresee as general impacts related to the growth of housing units. And it's broken down into those 6 criteria, which they've gone through and eliminated at least 3, if not the 4th one, but that's up to interpretation with Jack. So that's my, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, that's my view of it. Because you can't collect an impact fee on something that's unforeseen. You have to be able to quantify and prove it, and that's why the dollar amounts are so weird. Like, it's all based on actual what we perceive to be data at the time. Definitely a tough one. Like I said, I've been on the board almost 6 years now, and this is the first time this has happened.
I just have a hard time with, you know, these fees were put there for a reason, you know, and I see some of, you know, maybe we won't use as much fire, you know, but so that number is based on additional use,
Yeah, it's new impacts.
so it's, yeah, I guess.
So that, can I ask a question? So if that was just raw land and we came in and said, yep, we're gonna put up a complex with 30 units.
Oh, you'd be paying.
Would there be an impact fee?
Yeah.
Correct, right, because there is gonna be an impact, because there was nothing there existing.
Yeah.
We're going from residential to residential.
Kind of.
Think
but
of the other positive impact too, I mean, I'll throw out there, I mean, we're gonna, how many folks assisted living were going down spending money at the local restaurants? I don't know, I can't answer that, but when we have residents in there, I mean, how much money are they gonna be spending? Are
They're
they
making
gonna
an
be?
argument that we'll see a growth in local option tax.
Right, so I'm saying, you know, we could go down rabbit holes both directions.
And we're guesstimating at this time that the property value is gonna increase
Right.
by the time it's developed.
I guess my main question is, how is what we're doing gonna have an impact on any of this stuff? That's what we're talking about.
My
Maybe 20, 30, 50 years down the road, who knows?
So, the question that I have, that's a great question. I think every homeowner that comes in asks the same question. If I wanna come in to the town and build a straw house, I do not want fire services, I want it to burn. Can I opt out of the impact fee for that because I don't want any part of it?
Make
I'm
that-
not gonna put any load on the system.
I'll
Can
go
I-
back to the original thing too, the reason we are here asking for this, if we're building a house, I don't think anybody's gonna come and ask to waive an impact fee. We're creating affordable housing that's needed, that's why we're here.
If they were market rate, we wouldn't even be
If
able
we
to.
were market rate, we wouldn't be
Make
here.
that motion at all. I'd tell you to pay the fee, but. And even though it probably shouldn't matter whether it's market rate or otherwise, it should be the merits of the property. Was it, you got AOT telling you there's less trips out of there per day, cause you got visitors there. It's not just the people that are staying there that have cars, it's the relative that might be, you know, they probably get 20 different relatives in there, sometimes more at any given time. You got cooks, you got LNAs, you got administrators, you've got cleaning crews, you've got. What's stormwater doing to you? Have you been that far down?
Nothing. We didn't, this project didn't even require an Act 250 permit.
Cause it's conversion.
They said, right.
So that's kinda like where my head's at, like, The only reason I'm even entertaining making this motion, and this is the guy that does not like impact fees talking to you here, is because they're converting something and they've got the sheriff who's here and confirmed it, and then we've heard from our staff who says the fire department's confirmed it, and then they're on a bunch of state roads. I mean, I just don't see transportation. I could see Jack making an argument that we don't waive that until like GMTA or another authority says there'd be no increased impact. Like that, I could, Jack wanted to say that, I could say, if they get a letter that says no increased use there, then I would wanna waive that at a future date, but, the other three that we're talking about waiving, I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm only one person, so if I get voted down 3-1 or 4-1, then that's the way it goes.
So if you're gonna follow Robert's rules and maybe try to avoid going around for a fourth or fifth time,
Right.
you made a motion, if nobody seconds it, then the motion dies for tonight. You could either decide to let that sit, or we can think about it, ask more.
Or someone can make a different
For
motion.
more information and talk about it at your next meeting, but, if somebody's gotta second that motion, or it's, or it dies.
Done. Does anybody wanna second that, or it's done?
Or you can make your own motion, your own idea.
Right,
So it's gotta die first, right?
I think so. I think it did have 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I pulled my first one, so that's off the table.
There's no motion on the floor. As of right now. Anybody wanna make a motion at all, or did we can get something passed, or do we wanna talk about it again? At the next meeting.
Well, I'll make the motion if you do the 3, that I'll go along.
Library, rec, and transportation.
Would you consider waiving transportation at a future date if they came back and somehow proved with some other authority that there's no increase on public transportation?
I might.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
So just to be clear, we're gonna
Which one?
waive 3 of them, keep 3, and if they can produce a letter from AOT, then
somebody,
Would it
whoever
be
the
AOT
authority,
or would it be the,
or
No,
whoever it
it's
is.
little buses that goes around.
GMTA,
The ones that
whoever it
run all
is,
over
like,
nobody in it.
I think we're gonna leave,
Right.
I think the intent is to leave the door open to talk about that one if you come up with some kind of evidence like you did for the other ones.
right, just, okay.
So I just wanna make sure that everyone knows before they can get their building permit, they have to pay all the fees. So if you guys do wanna discuss this further, you'll just have to make sure you do so before they can get their building permit. We can't
What's your
collect-
timeline look like?
We wanna start mid to late September.
If we can.
So
We
you
we
got-
have all other permits, and we would get the state permit.
So we got another meeting on the 14th, 15th?
15th of
15th.
August.
So if you can get something in the next week, get it back in front of us and it'll be another discussion. It's like,
It'll be a quick one at that point.
yeah,
Yeah,
at that point it'd be quick. And you probably could attend by Zoom or just send a letter.
Well, at this point, then Jack made the motion, did someone second that?
Josh
Yeah,
seconded.
Jeff
And
did.
you didn't vote on it, you're just discussing,
No.
so you need to, okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
Okay.
Motion passes.
And then if you get something in the next 2 weeks,
So
then
we'll have that to you within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, please.
Preferably no later than like
the 12th,
that Friday.
right?
So
Or
just
no,
so we
not the 12th,
understand,
fif-
we're gonna pay the library, we're gonna pay the recreation, and we're gonna pay the transportation if we can't
Yeah,
get.
right.
Yeah.
You very well might go to GMTA, they might say, yeah, we could totally see having to have a stop, in which
Yeah.
case you're SOL for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and if they say that, what is the transportation per unit?
21709.
21709.
You went from 50 something to 20 something and you have the potential to go to like 10.
Okay.
But
Well, thank you guys for your
Yeah.
time.
Whatever it is.
Thank you, we appreciate it. Good discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was good, Alfie.
I would like to be part of that board that created those impact fees, to really understand them, because there must have been a bunch of questions.
No, I was there when we went through the study process. It's all based on actual impact.
I was there when they were written.
Read
It is.
read the updated ordinance.
We
It's
do
all
an-
based on trucks. It's like
we
if
do
we
an
add this
inventory,
many, we're gonna have to
basically.
buy this equipment and add this person. That's all
I know, but you like get to a point, like build up, and then you need, you know what I mean? So
Well,
you
yeah.
gotta keep going, you gotta keep
Well, you
tracking.
have to.
It's
So when you
true.
buy that big amount, you have it there. You can't just say, well, no, we can't do it now. We don't now. Not too much. It's,
You have to
it's a
spend it all.
cumulative effect of
The other thing
everything.
it doesn't take into account is a 4-bedroom unit versus a studio.
They don't
I think
have
that's
any
up
They
to
only
us.
got two.
No, I'm
two
just saying.
bedrooms.
Oh,
as an
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's
example.
only two bedrooms
You're
in the
correct.
whole
That
They
place.
doesn't-
say the
it does
impacts
not.
are gonna be
12
the same.
studios,
that's true.
9 1-bedroom, and 2 2-bedroom. I mean, I think we would have had to
Well,
waive the
I mean,
school
you
impact.
think they'd be okay.
Well,
Anyway.
You beat
All
that
right,
one
so-
pretty good.
Yeah.
The horse is just
I
barely
think we'll move
breathing.
on from there.
You beat it so hard, the horse is just barely breathing.
It's all right.
Okay. Town manager's report.
So Tim Smith,
Timmy,
Come on up.
come on up. Franklin County Industrial Development Corp representative.
Mr. Smith.
There.
I think my request will be a little simpler than the last one.
Oh, I don't know. We could probably make it go to 8:30.
Thank you, Gary. So, looking for a letter of support for a grant that FCIDC is submitting to the state. In the state budget, there's pots of money set aside, I think in 4 categories, it's not much. So 300 for economic development, 300 for recreation, 300 for the arts, and I think 300,000 for historic preservation. The economic development one, the regional development corporations, of which FCIDC is one of 12, can apply for grants up to $25,000 for economic development purposes. We are very close to breaking ground on a building in the industrial park expansion, 15,000 square foot building, of which we are attracting a business out of Colchester to move to St. Albans. And the grant that we will apply for, because of the demand for the grant, we will apply for 25, but more than likely we'll only get 10 or 15. But the purpose of the grant that we will apply for is to assist in moving costs to get the business, move the business's equipment from Colchester into the new building in St. Albans. We've used these grants for a number of purposes. We've used them for a very similar situation for Finish Solutions, which is a powder coating business, which is in the backside of Energizer. They too moved out of Colchester to move to St. Albans, and we got them 10 to 15,000 through this to help fit his space up and to move his equipment. So that's the ask. Would you support? Could I get a letter of support from Carrie just stating that you support the grant for the new business to move into St. Albans Town?
is it like a done deal?
I'd say 99%, yeah. I mean, we're hoping to break ground. The building's been ordered. We hope to break ground here this month and do the site work.
Where is it going? Where in the park?
In the new section on the Magnum property.
Yeah.
So it's what we call Lot 1D. It's a 3.5 acre, excuse me, a 2.5 acre lot.
Is it below Ben and Jerry's?
Is it above or?
South of that.
No, it's
South.
all to the left where the
Past.
sunflower seed.
So if you go down the road, it's on your left before you get to the four-way intersection.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the town manager to sign a letter of in support of FCIDC's application for a grant to help with the relocation of East Castings to St. Albans.
Second.
Any downside? Downside?
What impacts will there be?
I withdraw my question.
I don't think there's a downside unless we don't get him. And he's still gonna move no matter what.
Yep.
This is just sort of
This is icing.
Try to help, yeah.
trying to help him.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, pass.
Thank you.
Thanks for
I'm
coming,
just-
Tim.
I just add that we're close to wrapping up another investment in the park of $450,000. All the streetlights have been put in place. We've worked with the town on that. We pulled power, transformers, put in some driveways, so,
This in the same area?
yeah, same mall. So I would suggest that in the future, maybe I come down and just speak industrial park, and because we do have a couple other purchase and sale agreements, and that type of stuff. that
Okay.
We could give an overview of where we're at, what the investment's been, who we've been talking to, and all that.
If we did like some kind of a public meeting or like walk the park or something like that.
Yeah, I'd be glad to show you.
Maybe go through a couple businesses or something.
What time frame were you thinking we'll have Jen reach out to you?
Whenever you want.
Whenever?
Say tomorrow.
Matt,
As long as we let us know.
You can get lost in Peerless. That building is massive.
Fearless, I can show you Fearless as well.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. You get in there, all the sorters and everything.
If you wanna do that, just let me know. All right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any questions?
Good.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you all, have a good night.
We'll email it tomorrow.
That could be fun. I'm going on a field trip.
Industrial tourism. So the,
You should go to the prison.
I won't do that.
Yeah, you should go. We should go do a sleep in at the prison.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there, I've worked in there.
Leonard Parent told me a story about how he was one of the first people to ever sleep in the prison.
Okay, let's let Carrie finish this
All right,
section.
yeah.
Let's get
we're
done.
gonna put time limits on these soon.
6B.
Anyway, so town manager's second item is the budget process. It's that time when we start talking to department heads about the FY '24 budget process. It's been done a couple different ways since I've been here. This is my 10th year, but I was proposing doing a kickoff where we could go through every department and just have department heads come in and present their budgets. The select board can ask questions. Usually the kickoff isn't the final budget by any means, but gets you through all of all the departments and requests for equipment once. And so I'd like to do that in October. Are there any dates that are blocked out? Is there a good day of the week that we could do that? Monday through Friday, start at 8.
How about Saturday one though?
They did that a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I can do Saturday.
No, I'm not doing Saturday.
I can do Monday.
I'm flexible either way, you just tell me when I need to be.
Does it have to be early October or can it be
It could be mid-October. That actually might be better.
after the 15th?
It can be.
Going hunting?
No, cover cropping.
Oh,
is around
So the
corner.
17th is a Monday. You do have a select board meeting that night. Might be a little much, but something like Tuesday of that week is the 18th of October.
That'd be fine.
should be too late for cover.
So we're gonna meet like
What about you,
the
Brian?
3rd and the 17th. Why don't we just do the 24th too?
Our 15th anniversary is running, I think I'm clear. So,
You
we're
better
doing
be
a
sure.
Tuesday. Yep, pretty
What
sure.
about the 24th?
Pretty sure.
The 24th is a Monday. We could do that.
Are we getting too late?
That works good. Better.
We used to do it
Later's
in-
better.
Well,
December.
because I just really want Jeff to be present, and if
I
we're
will
too
be if it's
close
the
to.
24th.
Actually, I'm not
for
gonna.
sure.
I have a conflict on the
25th?
24th.
Okay, 25th.
I wanna know what the impact
Those are
would
the only
be to
2
the
days
town.
in October that
26th?
that 26, 27, 28 are all open.
Good.
Okay, so
Fine, we
Wednesday,
get that
can we
late.
do that Wednesday though, because of,
I can do
Planning
Wednesday.
Commission's Tuesday.
We're gonna be
DRL's
doing it in the
Wednesday.
daytime. What I'm talking about
oh,
is
the
starting
day,
at
okay, never
At
mind.
Basically take
Yeah,
a day
okay,
off from
perfect.
work. So
8 in the morning and
Oh, yeah.
hopefully done by
Well,
4
yeah,
and we'll
that's
put,
under my care
you know,
guide.
chapters and times on everyone so we don't go over too
That's
far.
Will there
the
be
26th
food?
we're talking about, correct?
Yes.
She was eating grass at 9
Green
o'clock.
juice.
1 o'clock she was stoned.
This is called a retreat.
It wasn't.
You can call it that.
That's what I'm putting here.
26th?
We'll be in the new building by then.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be nice to get that dirty.
Yeah. Put a little mud on the tires.
Won't clean my boots.
So October 26th, Wednesday, we'll strive to get you a copy of that first draft of the budget in advance. You can ask questions.
So you're gonna like have something that reminds somebody that doesn't keep a calendar?
Yes. Jen's gonna probably remind you weekly until
Oh, that's
then.
right, that's right. Then the little phone thing goes off while I'm eating my supper.
She will continue to bug you. All right, so the third item, C, under town manager, local hazard mitigation plan. We did receive today our letter from FEMA, accepting our plan, so we're official
Is
now.
that the one we did last time?
We accepted we had to accept our plan, our local hazard mitigation plan. It had to be sent to the state approved it. And then, we just got something from Stephanie Smith from FEMA, actually Paul Ford, who signed the letter. So we're now official hopefully nothing horrible happens in this state, but we can apply for grants if needed. So that process is done, it has to be done every 5 years. So
You get
4.5 years from now, Jack, you'll be redoing that again.
What's that?
4.5 years from now, you'll be renewing that plan,
Oh, I may not be here.
yeah.
I'm back in retirement.
I have on here the certificate of public good for T-Mobile. There's no action requested on that. But there is something that's not on this that I just wanted to briefly go over as a last item. Paving is starting soon. You know, most people probably have seen them milling. It means they take down 1.5 inches, make it a little bit of a mess. And there's a delineation project that's going on soon.
So we'll start with paving first. Tomorrow they should be finishing up if there isn't too much rain. They got Old Orchard Road to mill. The milling will be done. I believe they're gonna be paving the city first. Probably start on Monday. So within a week or so, they'll be in the town and then they'll start our paving. The only concern I have is I've been checking the roads after they mill. And this is the reason we mill, is to find out what kind of stuff we got going on underneath our roads. And Beauregard Drive has a lot of stone showing. I know,
So you took it down below?
they only took 1.5 inches, so whenever that road ever got taken over, it really didn't have a full base that it should have. So, and I know we're gonna do some reclaiming on French Hill, that's not on the schedule yet. But I'm thinking we might wanna go a little less distance on French Hill so we can make sure we can get that road up to par. I'm thinking that they should put down a thicker base layer and then do a top coat on it so we keep that road good. You got Chevalier's Fire on there, you've got Mill River Brewing,
RMB,
Matt Tabor, yeah, so there's a lot of businesses. I think we need to keep that road good, and there's truck traffic in there.
You get that culvert on the end fixed?
Yep, they're all done. So I wanted to bring that to you guys because I think we, like I said, I think we can shorten a little distance on French Hill, but I think it's important for us to get that road up to par. Similar situation at the end of Adams Street on the cul-de-sac, not as bad. There's still asphalt, but there was a lot of alligatoring, which just means it's breaking up really bad. So I think the paver should shim it up a little more and just get a heavier coat of asphalt in there. So that's paving. The delineator project is the corner over with Church Road and that. There is a message board that's sitting in our, outside the gate of our old garage. And that is saying that there's a new traffic pattern that'll be starting. And that's not to happen until at least 8:15, so that's given 2 full weeks plus for the community to see. So we can hit it with our Facebook and our website, so people are aware of that happening.
So how much are you proposing to shorten French Hills with?
I don't know right now. We'd have to see what the cost of the mix is coming in at. I know that the liquid asphalt has gone up in price. And I've heard from other neighboring towns that the price has gone up from their bid by 10,000-15,000. So, I mean, the reclaimer isn't even scheduled yet to hit the town, so they'll be paving beforehand, so we should have a good lock on how much more tonnage we've used in asphalt. And then we can justify where we're gonna stop with
So the reclaiming, they're going right down to the dirt.
reclaiming, they go right to the dirt. Milling is when you just grind off a few layers. Reclaiming is, it's take,
But
chews it up and rototills it like a garden.
Did really nice job up there where you did last year,
It's held up very well. Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
2 years. So I'd
So,
like to see that get,
so,
throw all our resources at that another year. Cause that's bad in some spots, really bad.
Yeah, well, I was hoping to get at least another quarter mile. We might have to go, 100 feet shorter or something. I'm just bringing it to your attention, so.
So what if, another question, you get back with the tractor guys?
Do we
Yep.
stick to paving first
Oh,
before we switch it up? Because he was up here for paving, because I have a question too.
okay.
So on Beauregard Drive. So are you just telling us that you're gonna just put a thicker layer to cover everything? To
Yeah,
bring it
it'll
up,
be-
or
it'll be
two
two
coats,
layers.
2 lifts, whatever
Yeah,
you call it? Okay, so you're doing that?
oh, yeah,
Okay, perfect.
yeah, it has to
Okay.
be done.
Yeah, it has to be, that's what I was gonna say, like.
Yeah, I just
we have
wanted
to-
you guys to be
Oh,
aware of
okay,
it,
okay.
because it's different than what the
And the
contract
extra,
said.
the extra cost is coming from front show.
Yes,
Okay. No, because I didn't want to like just do like one coat there and then if we
no,
gotta, if we
because
gotta
in a
pull
year
it.
we'll be
it-
back
Well,
to,
with the big trucks over there, yeah. It'll just
exactly.
ruin it.
No, I wanna fix it the
Okay.
right way. I just
Okay.
wanted to bring it to everyone's attention.
Yeah, gotcha. Anybody else, questions on paving? Go ahead.
Talk about the tractor there.
Yes. I got with Carrie, I gave her a purchase request form. She's approved it. It is being repaired.
Now,
Yes,
what's
The
he
boom,
think?
the boom mower.
the boom.
Right, well,
Just wanna make sure everyone knows the tractor.
so what's he thinking?
He tore it apart. He had to split the tractor. It's a wet clutch system. It has a spring-loaded hydraulic suspension or something in there, and that was broken. So the parts are ordered. They're hoping, he had them on order for a week now, about a week or two to get the parts, and then he'll put it all together. But had to split the tractor apart to see what was going on.
Right. So hopefully we'll have that back in a couple of weeks and we can use it.
Yep, we've been using the flare more till then, and the second cut in the town has been done for the year with a flare more. But that only gets us probably 5 feet off the
Right,
road.
because there's some places we really need to whack that back.
Yeah, where the ditch line, obviously you can't get the other side of it where you can with a boom
So
mower.
do we have that rig in the replacement? Is that gonna come up as a replacement request?
It's on the capital equipment plan, yeah, when Corey Parent and I were working on the capital plan, we looked at thinking we could get a lot more life out of the tractor, and we would maybe could just replace the boom.
How many hours?
What's
How
that?
many hours on that thing?
I don't know right off the top of my head.
Gotta be a lot,
There's a few.
because it was around, I think, right after I left, or just when I left, we got it. Because cat tractors were all the rage.
It's a while ago.
Nobody messes with them anymore. You get a deer this time.
Okay. Good? Perfect, thank you, Alan.
Yep.
So, you're good? That's your last
I
thing,
am.
right, Karen? Okay, moving on to schedule. Next meeting is Monday, August 15th, and Wednesday, September 7th, both starting at 6:30. And we have the industrial park litter cleanup day is Friday, August 5th,
What's that?
9 to 11. Who puts
It's
that?
when Amy Brewer from the hospital will bring the supplies, and it's a handful of people, but they pick up cigarette butts from the median, from the road, from the lawn, and they actually have done it before. They count them all, because they don't biodegrade. It's ridiculous how many bags of cigarette butts they pick up from that area. That just litter, it's just litter that doesn't ever go away.
Mhm.
So they've been trying to target areas that are pretty problematic. So we're encouraging anyone to go. She brings the safety equipment, like some gloves, some little picker-upper things, the bags, the whole 9 yards. And that's Friday, August 5th from 9 to 11.
Dumping back in people's cars.
Yeah.
It is gross. I mean, it's just gross. But it looks good.
Moving on, other business. Anybody have any other business? Okay, hearing none, I'll take a motion to go into executive session for contractual and personnel.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
I,
Going upstairs.
7:50.